Give me 25, give me 26, give me 25, give me 27, 27. Sold to the guy in the back. That's basically how you negotiate on a house. I'm glad you learned. I'm glad this video is here for you. Now, we'll talk about it on the other side. How to negotiate on the contract. How to get the price you want on a house. Welcome back to Investing for Parents. Now, this is what we're doing here. We're going through how to negotiate on a contract on a house. Now, this is fresh in my mind because I just negotiated on the contract about 2 days ago and got exactly where I thought it was going to go. Now, this is how you go about it. You don't always lowball, but if you lowball, you do it education. You do it smartly. And now people just want to throw money out there because they want to take 20% off or they want to put 10% off. Whatever. You can't just shoot numbers on there. You got to go into the psyche of the seller. You got to go into what it is, the area, the time, everything you're doing. So let's get into it. So this is what I'm going to use myself as an example since I just did it 2 days ago. So we're buying our second property. It's going to be an investment property in a year because we're going to cash out, refinance, use it as whatever. It's a sweet deal, actually. I lucked out on this one. But here's the thing, right? So initially, when you first find the house that you want, you're going through the process, you're deciding, okay, now I want to make an offer. How much do I offer? Now, I always say this, never ask your realtor how much you should offer because I don't care who they are, what they are, how nice they are. If that's based on how I'm making my money, I want you to offer as much as I think you can offer and as much as I can get away with the house and how much it's worth. I'm not gonna, drown you or make it a bad decision for you. But if I know the house is worth 145 and you can afford 150, I'm going to try to get you as close to that 145 as possible, as long as everything is within parameters of what you told me. Now, that's personally me. So if I'm thinking that way, I'm thinking the next person's thinking that way. A lot of people are better than I am in that process, so maybe they're not thinking that. But that's the way I'm thinking. So I would never ask your realtor. What I would ask your realtor for is comps. Now, what you ask for is comps based on square footage. I don't want to hear about bathrooms, bedrooms, dens. I don't care about any of that. Straight square footage. Square footage means what can I then do with this house? Can I then make this house exactly what that house down there is? If I were to just, completely demolish it and start over, can I? Yes, because you have the square footage to do so. That could be a 3-bedroom house that's only 900 square feet because they're all tight. You walk one way, you're in a bedroom. Walk one. That doesn't matter to me. 3 bedrooms, etc. doesn't matter. Square footage matters. So I want you to do a comp based on square footage. So I had my realtor do a comp based on square footage. This house was actually 6 bedrooms, but the square footage was around 1,200 square feet because they took a single family house and they made it into 6 bedrooms, but they finished the basement and turned the basement into its own separate apartment. So technically it was 2 apartments, the normal level and the basement level. So it had its own entrance, and this is what motivated me to buy it. I was like, this is already set up, and it's R2, so they did do it, and everything is legal. So they made it into 2 apartments, 6 bedrooms. But on my end, I'm like, well, technically, I'm buying a single family house. I am not buying a rental property. This is the way I'm going about it. Even though I am, I'm not going thinking about it. I want square footage wise. So it's about 1,200 square feet and 6 bedrooms. Great. That's all well and good. I'm looking at it like it's 1,200 square feet and you finish the basement. I don't care about the bedrooms that you put in the basement or the kitchen that you put in the basement. That's on you. That's your work. Great. I'm not paying for your work. If it was blank, I could do it myself, but I would still get the same square footage. So I had to do a comp for it. It came back much higher than I thought it would have. But that's because when you calculate the square footage of 1,200 and 1,200, putting them both together because they're finished, it's a pretty high square footage. So I looked at the comps, and the comps was around 171. And they were offering the house for 149. They had just dropped it from 159. So knowing how long it was on the market, I'm like, okay, if they dropped it at 149, if the house is on the market for another month, then they'll probably drop it at around 145. Now, what went into this thought process was the house was bought 6 years, 7 years before that. They bought the house for 140. So in my head, I'm thinking if that were me, I would want at least 140, 142. My original investment in the house, because they put 20% down and they were paying down for 6 years. So I want that 140 that I paid for it, just to make it feel like I'm not losing. So I thought, okay, knowing this, knowing how long it's been on the market, knowing what houses go for, knowing the comp came back pretty high and pretty good, they were looking at this as well. And knowing that they've dropped it last month, which means they're in consideration for trying to sell it. So after knowing all that, I looked at it and I was like, okay, I know what the comp says. The comp says it's 171. They offer 149. Great deal, because I'm already doing equity. I'm already buying equity, even if I bought it at that price. And if we didn't go to that price, I would have been okay with it. But I didn't want to start there. So I was like, you know what? In a month, they're going to go to 145. So instead of waiting for them to go to 145 in that month, if it's still there, and missing out on it, I was like, listen, we're going to offer 137. I don't expect them to take 137. The 137 I want to offer is not insulting enough, and is close enough to where I think they would be at 145, that I think they would then want to negotiate and give me a counter. Now, also at the same time, I was going through another property. I put an offer in on a property. Same idea, but it was direct one family. Basement wasn't finished. Wasn't as good, but had the potential, had the bones for it. They wanted 159.9. And I'm like, okay, the work it has to, you can tell there was an older person living in it, so it had to be updated. And their comps came in at 140, 142 or something. So they were highly priced. So I'm like, I asked the realtor, why would they do that? Why would you do that as a seller's agent if you know the comps and you've paid attention to the comps? She's like, sometimes you can't control the seller, and I understood that they want to list it higher to negotiate. So I'm like, I'm not even going close to that. So I offered them 120 something, and they came back. I'm telling the story to get back to the other story. They came back at, no, we think that's really low, so they don't want to even negotiate. If he really wants the house, tell him to come up in price. First of all, that's not the house I really wanted. And I realized at that time that their mindset, because it was just new on the market, their mindset and their pricing is going to take them a long time before they realize they have to start cutting the price and where they're going to be. I'm going to follow this house just to see where it ends up, because I think they're not going to get more than 136 for it, but I want to see. So go back to the original property where I offered 137 and they were at 149.9. And I'm like, okay, if I submit this, it's not too much of an insult to them, because I know they probably are going to go to 145 in a little bit if they're trying to sell it. So I get a day. The seller was actually on vacation, but while on vacation, he submitted a counter for 145. So he submitted a counter for 145, and this is what you need to think of. As soon as someone submits a counter, you're in control, because that means they want to then negotiate. So wherever you are, they're trying to get closer for you to buy the house. So as soon as he submitted 145, I'm like, okay, he wants to play. Now, this is what I could have done, but I decided not to. I could have stayed at 145, at 137, and say, nope, that's the amount I want to be at, because I think then he would have probably said, okay, as is, no concession, no nothing. But I decided I wanted the house, and from 137 in terms of loan to 145 is not that big of a deal. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give him 145. I'm going to counter at 142,500. And if he's really wanting to sell it, he'll take that, no problem. So I countered at 142,500, and within 2 hours, boom, get an email. Congratulations, the property is yours. That's how you negotiate. You don't negotiate by just going, all right, he's at 149.9. I want to take 20% off the top and see where he starts. If he's not really motivated to sell, if they're not really ready, if the market doesn't dictate what you're trying to take off, they're not even going to bother with you. So you have to go through it all yourself. You got to go through comps, days on the market. Did they lower the price? Did they raise the price? How long has did they buy the house? What price did they buy the house for? All this is available for you to just easily look up, and most of it is on Trula or Zillow. So you got to go through all that in order to make your offer. And you always start an offer that you'll be comfortable with. But don't put in an offer in which you yourself would be like, I don't even want that. This person doesn't want to buy a house. They're just lowballing me. Because if I came in at around 132 or something, they would have been like, no, not even, they wouldn't even counter. So anticipate their next move. So anticipate that they might drop the house a price. And if so, how much? Did they drop it before? 6% is usually what most people drop a price of a house for. Around 6%, they'll drop it the first time, and then they go from there. So if you see them drop it $10,000 one time, anticipate their next drop will be between $6,000 to $10,000. So then you make your offer around that amount of money, and then you take it from there, and you leave room to go back and forth. But whatever they come back with, you're now in control. But you're in control only, there's only going to be a back and forth about 1 to 2 times. There's not going to be a whole list of that, because then somebody might come in. So determine how much you want the house, and if it's close to what you wanted, take it, or give them a little bit more. Also, when you submit your second offer, never make it a plain offer. By that I mean, never make it all right, I could have done 142 straight. You know what I mean? He came in at 145, I could have done 142 straight. No, make it so, you know, the whole 99 cents theory. That's why Walmart and all the other stores do $3.99, $2.99 instead of $3 or $4, because it looks better. In your mind, it feels better. It feels like you're getting a savings. You're not, but it feels like you're getting a savings. So instead of it being $10, it's like, oh, $10 is $9.99. Oh, that looks different. No, it doesn't. But that's just the way it feels like. So don't come back, your second offer, don't come back with a straight number. Make that off, make it twist. Come back with 132, 455. Something that's like, okay, whatever, I'm getting that extra on the tail end. So that's how you negotiate. That's how you make an offer on a house. Thank you for joining me on Investing for Parents. If you like, love, hate, whatever, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, make a comment. Tell me where you are in your process. Tell me where you are in your buying process. If you're just thinking of it and looking at all these videos for your future planning, congratulations. Tell me about that. See you next time.